right, we are back with another episode of the Real Estate Investing Club. Today we have Brian Penn with us from sunny Colorado, right in the dead center of Colorado, actually.
Yes.
I'm Brian has a lot of experience dating all the way back to 1995. So there's a lot of wisdom to be gleaned here. I am super excited to have you on, Brian. Thank you very much for hopping on the show.
Great. Oh,
Abs-
thanks for having me on. This is fantastic. I've enjoyed your shows and stuff. So this is an honor for me.
Absolutely. I told you right before we got on here, we like stories. We like to hear how people got to where they are today. Yours dates back to 1995, which so you got the ups, you got the downs, you got the side and left. I'm sure you got lots of stuff to share. Why don't you take us back to the beginning? How did you get started in real estate in the first place?
Well, actually, my uncle was big into real estate investing, and then he did his stuff in New Jersey. So I kind of got the bug from him. But I went through a whole academic and industry route for many years. I was working as a full-time employee of programming and doing things like that. And then I went back to school because it was not as rewarding as I had hoped it to be. And I was able to get Texas Instruments to pay for me to get a PhD at the Colorado School of Mines, and I finished that up in a kind of a arcane field of igneous petrology, which most people, I give talks and most people don't know what that is. It's really just a geologist. And so I did a postdoc with a guy from Stanford, great guy from Stanford, really phenomenal guy from Stanford. But even after that, what do you do? And so I had no real job prospects at that because my particular field is a small field of geology. And so I went ahead and I got a flyer that said buy houses out of probate. And I was down to my last $5,000, and that's how much the course cost. And so I just took a flight down to Phoenix, spent a week with a guy named Jim Banks, or a weekend, long weekend, and got hooked and just started buying stuff out of probate and things like that. And one of the more interesting things I think out of that was they gave us a list of 50 people that were in the class, so we could talk to each other afterwards and stuff like that. And I found out I was the only one that had done anything. I
Oh,
bought a
wow.
house, a couple cars, and stuff like that. And so, it's because calling up executors is unpleasant at best because you think, oh, this person died. I'm going to call. I'm going to feel really terrible. And out of like the 1,000 calls I made, I had maybe one of those. I still felt bad. Don't get me wrong, because they make it so. And then I wasn't full-time real estate at that time because it was not rolling along or anything like that. So I went and did another postdoc, and I was down at a place called the University of Texas, El Paso, and I saw Carlton Sheets one. And then I got the no money down, and then I started buying houses no money down and doing stuff like that all through the 90s and into the early 2000s, and had acquired a number of properties at that point. Um, I'm like really super conservative.
Mm.
I kind of step out and make sure I can stand on something and get pretty solid. So, when we hit 2008, myself and my wife, Krista, we went ahead and we would buy a property, make sure everything was copacetic and on level playing field, level ground. And then 2008 hit, and I actually had got a bunch of properties in 2008.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, there were people were just handing me their properties. They were saying, "Here, I can't handle this anymore," and I would take it and we'd look at it and evaluate it. And generally, you try. I was kind of like of the mindset that if you get a nice house in a nice neighborhood, you're probably pretty safe renting it out and stuff. And that's kind of what we did. We just went with that, and so we acquired stuff like that and properties like of that nature. And then I experimented with some things. I got into pre-foreclosures, and I hooked up with a real good broker who did that and was able to kind of semi-mentor me, and just we did a bunch of deals together. And so I had acquired properties and set those up, and those are kind of cruising along. And so I was experimenting with other things. So then I went through the 2010s here, which a lot of folks are just seeing the tail end of that. And it's kind of funny because they never experienced the 2008. I've watched a lot
Mm.
of folks, and they're like, "Oh yeah,
It's
I've
only
got
going
in
to
this
go
for
up. We're
5 years."
never going to go down.
Yeah, I had a guy tell me that. I said, because about a year or so ago, I was writing on my blog. I said, "Are you aware of what happened with Evergrande and how the Chinese
Oh, in China.
market
Yeah.
meltdown is going to crush everything?" Because 2008, the amount of money that was lost, or the impact, was like $6 trillion, and that shut
Wow.
down the world's economy to a great extent. And but people don't realize that the CCP only allowed people in China to invest in real estate. That's all they can invest in, and that's
Hmm.
25% of their GDP. So
Wow, I did
they've
not know
collapsed
that.
to the tune of $60 trillion is what's collapsed in China,
So
and
sorry,
we don't.
I'm gonna jump in here real quick because I'm interested.
Yeah,
I did not know. So
go ahead.
the CCP, Chinese Communist Party, they do not allow people to invest in the stock market. You're only allowed to
No,
invest.
not at all.
Interesting,
No,
huh?
they only
Okay,
let they only let people buy real estate. And so what happened was it became like a Ponzi scheme for the Chinese, for the
right.
property developers. And they were taking money in, and they weren't building or completing anything for people.
Oh wow.
And so, but they made them pay but they made them pay their mortgage. And or a lot of times they were making them pay the full amount down, and they
Oh
weren't
man,
using the money to build anything except to expand. And so
jeez.
it's been a that's I wrote a bunch of blogs on my website about that, just because it's phenomenal. And so the Chinese market's collapsing. So we're seeing a lot of stuff going on, and it's impacting. And we're seeing, like, the last year interest rates went from 2% to 6%, 6 and 7%, and
We
that's
just got
changing
quoted
the
six eight
dynamic.
seven, yeah, for a
Oh,
refi that we're trying to do, and it's just
oh
like
my
oof.
gosh, my gosh. So what I ended up doing a lot in 2008 was doing a lot of subject twos.
Mm.
And that time for doing subject twos, because I've tried a bunch of things. I tried the probate. I've done the I don't think I've done a fix and flip because I'm not that handy with the hammer.
And
Although
real
I
quick
do bang.
before you go into it, explain what a subject to is for people listening.
Oh, very good. Subject to is when you just take over their payments subject to the underlying loan. And
Yep.
there are a couple of good courses out there. Bill Bronchek, who is essentially my mentor, he's in Colorado, and Jeff Watson. I think I'm just rehashing a bunch of stuff or relearning. I like to learn. And so that's, I'll go to somebody that knows, like yourself. If I was going to do commercial real estate, I would definitely be talking to you, because you have your handle on that much more than I do. And you can always learn. You can
Yep.
always learn. So
And
it's just
I'm not
keeping.
even an expert in commercial. I'm an expert in self storage and then a little bit of
Oh,
mobile home RV parks. But yeah, I mean, you can become an expert. That's what I love about real estate. There's so many different things to learn, so many different
yes.
business models to execute. But I don't want to get on too much of a tangent. Let's go back to your
Yeah.
story. We're almost to present day. You were,
I pretty much I have, what I've noticed, and about 2 or 3 years ago, I've been to so many real estate meetings. There's a bunch of places in Denver and Colorado Springs. I met Brent at one of his real estate meetings about 4 or 5 years ago. And you go into these meetings, and I walk around and talk to people, and this is their first meeting. They're going, "Hey, I'm interested in real estate." And I said, "Well, what kind of real estate do you want to get into?" There's just a whole range of stuff, and they didn't know. Didn't have a clue. You want to drive and just find some properties, do some bird dogging, or do you want to? Because most people just think, "Oh, I'm just going to buy a house and have a rental," and that, I don't want to do that. And I said, you don't have to do that. There's a lot of opportunity. There's a lot of support roles. And there's a lot of other things. So I was thinking at that point that I would teach a course. I
mm,
would do a monthly meeting and stuff and teach a course on just the very basic, like house hacking, like bird dogging and things of that nature, all the way through getting into commercial real estate, getting into what you mentioned just before about storage, self
mm,
storage,
mm-hmm.
which I think is really great. If you want to get into, you should talk to Gabe on this, because this is something I missed, and I'm like, I'm still thinking about that.
Yeah, self storage is
So,
pretty great.
but there's just a wide range of things that you need to investigate and understand so that you can know what direction to go in. And so I ended up writing a book. I developed a Udemy course, and mostly because of everything that happened with COVID, and everything was shut down. There were no more meetings. There was no more anything. And so, and as the whole thing is different things you learn. I found when I bumped into Brent, he goes, "I'm doing vacant land." And I go, "Hey, that sounds like fun." And so I took a course from Brent. and he works with me closely. And I've just like last week closed on a couple of land deals
Yeah.
and stuff. So do
Land is
different things.
land is a very interesting um class to get into because there is no cash flow, but you can definitely make some good cash flow by doing seller financing, all these different things.
Yeah.
So you wrote the book on investing for beginners. It's called Real Estate Investing for Beginners. I know a lot of people listening, they're just getting started out in real estate. So to those new investors, the people who are just getting their first deal done, what are the what's the advice that you can give those investors to take their first steps?
Learn about all your options. Learn, see what's going to mesh with you. There's things that the vibe, you'll vibe with something. You'll
Yeah.
just, it'll resonate with you. I mean, single family homes resonated with me.
Mm-hmm.
I, there was a period where I could do a quad or I could do this, but single family homes resonated with me. And it's just, you just become educated to the different opportunities that are available. And we are really at the precipice of a major opportunity for everyone to gain wealth because of all this interest rates rising. People still got to move. You need to be able, you can get involved and make your money now and do what I ended up doing in the 2008. You can, Bill Bronchek's always saying, Bill, you buy your houses in a down market. I didn't fight with people during the last 4 or 5 years when the market was just zooming, and I said, well, I'll just find something, adapt, improvise, and overcome. Look at the current market and see what works for you, and just adapt to it, and just overcome the obstacles that stand in front of you. And you can do this. It's really, really an incredible thing, and you can do it part time because basically I did so much of mine was part time for all those years that I was working. So
Awesome. Yeah, and a partner of mine, Neil Timmons, he has this test that he does at his in-person events that he throws, and it's a test that you take the test and it tells you what kind of asset class you should be going
that's cool.
towards. I wish I had a copy of it. I don't, but it is very difficult to kind of like when you're getting started to really decide which path to take because there's so many different paths you can take. You can do notes, you can do single family, you can do
Yes,
land, all this stuff. So for
yes.
somebody who's just getting started, how would you suggest that they make that decision? What is the what are some criteria
You
that
mean
you would
besides, besides reading my book?
well, exactly that is the first step is reading the book. There you go.
Because I wrote the book exactly for that. I wrote the book and I outline all the different I call it, broke it up into hands off, hands on type stuff. Do you want to start with bird dogging? Do you want to start? How much money do you have available? Because that really dictates almost everything. Is if you got a lot of money, you can just go out and buy something. And in certain hands off things, you can get involved in REITs and DSTs and things like that. If you have no money, which is most people's situation, is try bird dogging, try wholesaling, try things where you're not physically, where you're just taking that piece of property and you're flipping it to someone else, or you're providing a service to someone. And in that way, even bird dogging or wholesaling, you can learn so much from all these experienced investors like yourself about the different opportunities they can follow up with. It's all an educational process. And so I don't know if I answered your question, but I think that's, if you really just want to start, just go out the door today, go out and bird dog, go drive neighborhoods, find houses that look like they need some help, and turn it over to an investor. Go to a real estate investing club, become part of your real estate investing club, because you'll meet people and they'll have ideas and they'll have needs that you can provide information to them with.
Yep. And to clarify for anybody listening, bird dogging is when you go and just like um, Brian was saying, you go around your neighborhood, you look for properties that look like crap, and then you send those leads to an investor. That's what bird dogging is. It's I tried that at one point. It was a difficult thing to do. I
Yes.
honestly I don't know if I would recommend that for anybody because it takes a lot of time.
It,
Um,
it's it's driving for dollars and it's
yeah,
intense and you got to do all that stuff. But if you have no money, I mean, it's all a matter of economics. What do you
yeah,
have
yeah.
more of? Do you have more time than money and you have a car? That's a start to get your foot in the door. It's painful. I find wholesaling is, I put that in my book, the wholesaling, how many leads you need to get just to get one offer. And it's this
Yeah.
huge funnel of people that you end up talking to. So that's, they're all take work.
Yep.
It's all going
Yep.
to be effort and work and stuff. And
Yeah.
once you're established, you can roll with that.
Yeah, and I've always thought, when I got started, I had very little money. I did have some money though, and that helped. And I've always thought, like, if I really did have zero money, how would I recommend people to go forward? And thinking about it now, I would probably, and I'd want to hear your side on this too. I would probably recommend
Uh,
people call lists for sellers. You can
yes.
get lists for almost no money. It's not zero money. You're gonna have to,
Yeah.
buy maybe $50 to
Hmm.
buy a list online, prop stream,
Yeah.
something like that, and just call sellers until you find somebody who's willing to sell. So Brian, what's your take on,
Yes.
like, the very first, for somebody who has no money, what is the strategy you would suggest they do?
Something like that. You go to PropStream and get a list of people that, right now what I'm doing I'm going to go to PropStream, and my son is coming, just got out of the Marine Corps, and he's coming out to Denver and stuff. So he's picked a neighborhood. What I'm going to do, it's just like me starting all over. I'm going to go to PropStream, and I will just identify the people who are just, they've been, oh, let's see, they haven't had a house for more than a year or so, so they don't have a lot of equity, and they've got to move.
Mm,
And then that's where the subject to information comes in, where you kind of go, okay, so people got to move, and then I can get a house for my son, and he can move into it, and then I can get other houses for myself. And if I get one and he doesn't want to move into, I'll still take it and still use it like that. The
yeah.
whole thing is, it's not how much the house costs, it's the terms. It's so important is to recognize terms are more important than the price of the house.
Yep.
And so that's, people, oh, that's a $400,000 house. Yeah, but at 2%, you can, if you can cash flow, if you can rent it out for more than you're paying, you're okay. And you can write off the interest. It's really, it's the best way to get involved at that point. So that's me. Each time I do this, I start again. I just sent out, several hundred letters to land folks, and buying vacant land down in Southern Colorado. And I'll do that. And then I'll try, I'll go ahead and do the prop stream, where I'll go ahead and get their names and numbers. And some people, part of it is you kind of got to get used to talking to people.
Mm,
And
mm-hmm.
that's, for so many people, that's the hardest thing.
Yep.
And kind of a funny story, I called on, because I'll check on Zillow and stuff like that and say, hey, here's a house, maybe I'll try that. And I called somebody, and it was like the worst person. I've never had any seller be this rude to me. And it was like, it's just like, oh, you're an investor, you're this, and she hung up on me. I'm like, I'm calling about my son. I'm just like, and I can sort of, I feel like I can talk to people. I
Yeah.
can talk to just about anybody. Like, and she just bam, bam, and that's part of the problem now is people were so. They were getting way more, like 1,000 people or a huge number of offers on their properties.
Mm.
Just 2-3 years ago, they were getting these huge offers. So they didn't have to be nice,
Yeah.
So
Expectation setting, and that now that has gone down because interest rates are so high. And so these same people, that's
yes.
what's really frustrating me about the commercial side is I'll talk to these sellers
Mhm.
and they want, they want 3, 4% interest prices when the interest rate is now 7%.
Yeah.
And it's just like, come on, man, you got to
Yeah.
see this. This is not
Yeah.
how it
Yeah.
works. But hey, it is what it is.
Well,
Um,
people lag the market, and
yeah.
this is the thing: is check with them next summer. Check with them in 9 months and see if they are, they've been making those payments and stuff for a while, and it's like, oh, maybe I need to be nicer, maybe I need to be a little more flexible with stuff. And that's, what I'm doing now is I'm just kind of testing the market. I'm kind of going out there talking to folks, knowing their attitude will change before too long. The thing with me is, you need to practice. You need to get on the phone and talk to people. And that's so, a lot of times I won't even go look at a house unless I've talked to the person and I have a deal in hand, or we're close to a deal. Because going and looking at a property and then jawing with them and stuff like that is not a good use of your time.
Yeah.
Talk to as many people as you can, and the ones that are gonna deal, you'll know.
Yep, absolutely. I took a peek at the clock. It looks like we are running it down. Before we move on, though, I just want to get a quick overview of what you're doing today. It sounds like The gist of it is you're looking for land, and then you're also doing subject to in single family. Is that about right?
Yeah. Yes. I've done, see, part of it is I have an IRA, a Roth IRA. So I buy and sell out of the Roth IRA,
Mm,
the land, because it makes it so much nicer. And then, the other companies I have where I have some cash and stuff, and I want to build those up in terms of single families. So I am now going towards talking to people about getting and just doing subject twos.
there you
And
go.
so it's evolved a little bit, but it's basically the same thing as we did years ago.
Yep. If it works, you don't. What's the
Yeah,
phrase? If it's not broken, don't fix it. Something like that.
perfect. Exactly. Exactly. But you can improve. Things have
Yep.
changed a little bit. Even in the subject too, they've changed a little bit how they do things. And so I take courses. I know stuff, but I'm always willing to learn. I'll always take a course if it can provide some level of information. It's the best thing to do is work on your own education in this business.
Absolutely. All right. Well, that does bring us to the quick question round. Are you ready?
Yes.
Let's do it. It starts with education. I'm a big bookie, so give me two recommendations. It can be any type of education that you like, YouTube channels, whatever. Two recommendations, one for general life wisdom, one for real estate specific.
I would say the best one that I've heard is Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Mm,
That started me long time ago in terms of just getting involved in the mindset to get into real estate. It was the notion of I guess Kiyosaki said, "Oh, I got this." Was a car wash or something to pay for his kids' education or something like that. And I
oh,
thought that
that's
was
cool.
very interesting. Just okay, working that and just general life thoughts. I'm trying to think of what was that book? I'm trying to think what it was. It's an old book. It's even much older than, and it sounds like Rich Dad Poor Dad is old to most people. It's like, man, what was it? Oh, drawing a blank now, sadly. It just
No
was
worries.
back in the day, setting up a group of a cluster of people or a support group to work
Okay.
on things. And it's an ancient book, but
Yeah.
I've drawn a blank on that, sadly.
It's all right. We can stick with the
I
one
got,
Rich Dad
I've
Poor
lots of,
Dad. That is
yeah,
that's a good
that's right.
recommendation there. That got me started. It's not good for tactical information, but it's definitely good for the 10,000 foot view on investing. So good
It's a
recommendation.
motivational. It's
Yeah,
very motivational. You know, go ahead.
absolutely.
Sorry.
So I'm going to move us on to the next question. This is for your younger self. So let's go back to the Brian. Let's go all the way back to 1995. Go back to that Brian.
Oh,
Look him in
wow.
the eye. Give him one piece of advice moving forward.
Buy quads, buy a quadruplex or buy a duplex, buy something that condenses your properties down. I mean, if I'd have bought like four quads, I'd be sitting better than I am now, I
Yep.
think. And so it's like, they're all diverse, but there's benefits to having them diverse. There was a big fire in Boulder where they burned down about a year ago. It burned the entire subdevelopment down.
Oof.
It was like 150 houses. Just
Jeez.
these were 3 or 4. So the entire subdivision got burned down. So there's and those people are really in a bad way just because they were not protected for fire and things like that. But if I love get a quad, but get quads that are separated far enough away from each other. So kind
It
of
is.
just don't focus in one part of the city or one development, because if stuff goes bad, which it's rare, but if it does, you're totally screwed.
Yep, yep. Diversity is good for everything. It's good for locations, for asset types, for pretty much anything you're thinking of. Having a diverse portfolio is very important.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I feel bad for those people, California, Colorado, that went through those fires. But I'm going to move us on to the next one. This is, I lost my spot. Here we go. Um, this is about strengths. We are all gifted with unique strengths that we give this world. So, what is your Superman strength?
Oh, my Superman strength. One time someone asked me what my superpower was, and I answered it as I see naked people with their clothes on. And they laughed. I said, that's not really, but that's not the superpower. The superpower is I know I'm seeing naked people with their clothes on. Um, what the biggest strength is, have a sense of humor,
Okay.
laugh
Yep.
at yourself,
I like
and
it.
take on everything, be willing to fail, but laugh at yourself. That's what I would say.
Yep.
That's the
That
best thing to do.
That is so important because there's going to be plenty of failures in anybody's career. And when you get punched in the face, you just got to have a sense of humor about it because we all get punched in the face at one point. So you got to
It's
laugh
like
about something.
John Wayne. It's like the John Wayne mindset. I saw this thing where I interviewed John Wayne. He goes about talking about gunfights in the Old West. He goes, if you get shot in a gunfight, you're going to hit the ground. You need to keep moving. You need to keep rolling because it isn't the first bullet. Those guns weren't that powerful back then. The first bullet doesn't kill you, but if you just lay there, they're going to shoot you again. So you need to
Interesting. I
just
did not know that. So
you
you
need
could
to
survive
keep
a gunshot back in the day. That's interesting.
keep rolling, keep moving, and keep firing as much as you can. And so that's you're going to get beat down, but keep moving. Don't just lay there because they'll put another bullet in you, and that'll be it for you. So just keep moving, adapt, improvise, and overcome as best you can. That's what I would say.
Absolutely. Keep moving. I love it. Moves us on to the next question. I think we've already broached this a little bit, but this one is for mentors. We all stand on the shoulders of giants. So, who is one mentor who has contributed significantly to where you are today?
I would say Bill Bruncheck. He was the head of the Colorado Real Estate Investors Association. He's provided me with guidance. I've taken a bunch of his courses. I use all of his paperwork. He's a lawyer in Colorado, so I'm like, okay, well, they should work in Colorado. And we talk. He's great. If I text him or anything like that, I mean, he gets back to me in like 5 minutes. I'm just amazed. So I have to be careful not to text him after 7 o'clock because he'll go, oh, right back to you, Brian. I'm like, Bill, you need to just take it easy. He's a great guy, and he's always been somebody that I can bounce ideas off of and stuff. And so if you find somebody that knows the law, knows how to apply it in your state, I think that's a really good thing to have.
There you go. Well, shout out to Bill. Thank you for helping Brian get to where he is today.
Absolutely.
Um, that brings us to the second to last question here. This is about tools. What is one tool that you could not live without?
Um, I one tool in terms of I read a lot of software. I was a software engineer. I had a PhD in geology, a master's in computer science, and so I write a lot of my own software. And so I write just an immense amount of stuff in Python, and I
Mm.
write all of my own like real estate tools that go out and scrape websites and things of that nature.
Oh, very
And
cool.
so it's if people like, oh, how do you do this? Well, you have to understand Python, then you have to go out on the web and scrape stuff off of different web pages, and that's kind of the big tools I use. And let's see, we do use Quicken for all of our financial stuff. Not
QuickBooks
QuickBooks. We just use
or
Quicken
Quicken.
because we found that our CPA is able to deal with that just as well. My wife is a great accountant and has done amazing stuff. We're in the throes of tax season.
Oh God, it's the worst part of the year. Yeah,
So
don't
having
say
a
those words.
good financial stuff to keep track of all your finances and keeping your money separate. No commingling. Don't
Yeah.
do an FTX type stuff. And
Yeah, that reminds me. I gotta call my tax guy back. I never like looking at taxes, but all right, moving it
oh no,
back.
no. That was the other thing that the other part, and this is an important point is I know Brent does a lot with land and doing all that stuff, and that's really cool. But you've got to have tax write-offs.
Hmm.
The beauty of having like a real estate, you have a commercial property or you have single family homes. You've got to have some tax write-offs. If you have pure cash flow, they're going to eat you alive. They will just eat your lunch at tax
Yes,
time. So it's
yes,
like,
they will. It is what it is, right? All right,
yeah, oh yeah.
that leads us to the very last question. You've given us a lot of good advice, a lot of things to think about. I'm sure people want to reach out, get in contact with you. What is the best way for them to do that?
Just to my website, it's a real estate success for you, the number for you, and the letter U. So it's real estate success, the number for the letter U.com. And my book's available on there. It's linked on Amazon, and then the Udemy course is also on there, which is what I was talking about. So those are probably, or just Brian at realestatesuccessforyou.com. That's the best email for me right now.
Perfect. So that is real estate success, the number 4, the letter u.com. I will put that link in the show notes. So if y'all want to reach out to Brian, go ahead and click a little more in the description. It'll pull down the full description, and in there you can find Brian's URL. All right. Well,
Super.
Brian, that wraps it up. Thank you very much for hopping on the show.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I enjoy your show. I enjoy your podcast. And I like I said, I enjoyed all the time you talked to Brent. It was just fun to I learned stuff about Brent I never knew.
There you go. Well, I appreciate that. And for everybody who's here with us today, thank you guys for showing up. You are the reason we do this. So if you guys have any questions whatsoever, reach out to me, Gabe at the realestateinvestingclub.com. And if you guys want to support the show, all we ask is that you give us a like, subscribe, share, all that jazz on whatever platform you're listening to this on. Other than that, I hope you guys have an absolutely fantastic week. Keep rocking real estate. And I look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Thank you for joining us for another episode of the Real Estate Investing Club. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode as much as I enjoyed putting it on, and we're able to pull some actionable advice that you can apply in your own investing today in the field. Before you go, we have a gift for you. If you're a new investor looking to get started or an established investor looking to take your investing to the next level, I've created an ebook just for you, available on our website. This ebook will cover how I was able to create both active and passive income in real estate with very little money to start with. In it, I will address the 3 most often cited obstacles new and veteran investors run into by showing you how to find deals that are actually deals, how to finance a deal with little to no money down, and how to exit those deals for maximum value. And if you get the ebook today, I am throwing in a bundle of bonuses, 7 of them to be exact. The first one will be the off-market lead generation blueprint, which will take you through the exact systems and processes we use to generate off-market leads like clockwork, which is the most important skill when it comes to creating wealth in real estate. The second bonus is the A to Z REI systems and vendors guide, which will allow you to peek under the hood of our business and see the exact tools, systems, and even the vendors we use to see the success that we do. And the third bonus is the top 100 best performing keywords pack, which will give you the exact keywords we use to target motivated sellers online using PPC ads. The fourth bonus is our contracts bundle for wholesaling and renting real estate, which will give you access to all the contracts we use in the field to execute all different types of transactions. After that is the Investors Quick Analysis Calculator and Offer Tool, which will allow you to quickly calculate whether a deal is an actual deal and will allow you to create an offer automatically from those calculations. This is a lot of bonuses that I said. I'm just going to keep going down the list. Number 6 is the Investors Daily Success Tracker, which is a tracker you can use to ensure you are taking the right actions day in and day out to reach your financial goals in real estate. And the last bonus is the Wholesalers Template for Quick Assignment Cash, which will give you the templates we use to present our wholesale deals professionally and efficiently to our buyers. Whew, that is a bundle. So it's a mouthful. You get all of those bonuses for free when you download the ebook. All we charge is the admin cost to run the show. So if you're interested in the ebook and the bonus bundle, head on over to the website at therealestateinvestingclub.com. Click on Get the ebook bundle at the top of the page to take advantage of that deal. And with that said, I hope you have a fantastic day, an even better week. Keep rocking real estate, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.